3, 2, 1.
Boom! And welcome to the Big Honker Podcast. Today, brought to you by Boss Shot Shells. Check them out at bossshotshells.com. New Dove loads coming out pretty quick. A lot of new changes coming. Be some really cool new products coming out from Boss. Anyway, it's bossshotshells.com. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world famous Andy Shaver, and today is my day.
March 26th.
March 26th.
Did you hit a good one or not?
Yes, some really cool stuff happened on March 26th. I'm going to start out with the person born on March 26th, one of my favorite actors of all time, Mr. James Caan. What would you consider his do you have a role of his that you like?
Yeah.
I know what you're going to say too. I
Misery was good.
That's a gruesome freaking movie right there.
He was okay as Sonny.
Yeah, I think that's his best role.
Sonny?
Oh yeah, I love if you don't like The Godfather, you haven't seen it. It's a good movie. You got to put it back in its time when it was made. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was made in 1972. So the camera work and stuff is not like today's stuff,
right?
But it is a very good movie. He's a good actor. Another movie that he made that I really liked was called Brian's Song. It was about Brian Piccolo, a football player that had leukemia, I believe, and he was Gail Sayers' best friend. And he got drafted by Chicago. And you need to watch it. It'll make you cry though. It's a sports movie we forget about because it's been so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was before deal. He had a movie called The Gambler that I really, really liked. And I watched it about 2 years ago by accident. And it's about a guy who's got a gambling problem. Mm-hmm. And he's a rich kid and just goes through money left and right. Gets the shit beat out of him, has girlfriends. And it's a really good movie. It shows the dark places of gambling, like with get bookies and stuff. I mean, they would chase him down. I mean, we're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. It's a really good movie. And then he was in, I thought you were going to say your favorite show with him was going to be Elf.
No, I'm not an Elf fan.
I'm not either. That was not one of my movies. And then he was in Vegas, a show, I think it was called Las Vegas, that was on in the early right when 2006.
Yeah, he was like was he a pit boss or did he own a casino?
Was a casino manager or owner. And Nikki Hilton, I think, was his daughter, redheaded lady, good looking son of a gun. She was in that. It was really a good show. But anyways, Caan was born in Bronx, New York. And he was born Jewish. He wasn't born, he's Jewish, like a lot of people were in New York. But it's funny, he got the reputation of being an Italian.
Oh, and he was a Jew.
Yep. He went to tried to get in a real fancy Westminster, some of these real fancy country clubs around New York, and they denied him because he was Italian and because he was in the mob, they thought. They could not differentiate between him not being, he wasn't a mobster. He wasn't even Italian, but they thought he was Italian, so they wouldn't in. Anyways, he started off in the 60s doing Broadway deals, just like a lot of people. And then he got offered his first chance to become a TV actor, and he turned it down. He said, I didn't get into acting to become a millionaire. I want to be an actor. Mm-hmm. So he turned down the role. The story is he turned down the role of Adam Cartwright as one of the rumors. And he would have been that. He turned down, I got to get to this point right here, the movies that he turned down a ton of really good movies. Anyways, from 1982 to 1987, he did not hardly do any acting. His sister died of leukemia. He had a huge cocaine problem, and he was Hollywood burned out.
Oh, wow.
And Caan said that this is a time when a lot of mediocrity was produced, because I think the directors got to the point where they made themselves too important. They didn't want anything or anybody to distract them from their directorial prowess. There were actors who were good and capable, but they would distract from the special effects. It was a period of time when I said, I'm not going to work again. He walked off the set of the Holcroft Covenant and was replaced by Michael Caine. I don't even know what that is. Caine considered retiring for good, but instead of being set for life as he believed, he found out one day that I was flat ass broke. I didn't want to work, but then when the dogs got hungry, I saw their ribs. I decided maybe it's time. It was a good idea to go back to work. Caan returned to acting in 1987 when Coppola cast him as an Army platoon sergeant for the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard, in Gardens of the Stone, a movie that dealt with the effects of the Vietnam War on the United States home front. Kahn was planning to make an action film in Italy, but then heard Rob Reiner was looking for a leading man in the adaptation of Stephen King's Misery. Great show, plays it great, and that was kind of like his comeback. Then he was in Honeymoon in Vegas, The Program. He was a coach then. Do you remember that?
Yep. Yeah, I remember that.
Bulletproof with Adam Sandler and Damon Wayans.
Great movie.
Yep. Kahn was a gangster for comedy of Mickey Blue Eyes with Hugh Grant. Kahn was in The Yards with Mark Wahlberg. And he's doing a lot of stuff. He was a really good actor, and I enjoyed him. And my favorite character he probably played was Ed DeLine in Vegas. I love that show. That was a really good deal. I used to love Las Vegas. It was really cool, and it was really it was still kind of an old fashioned way around Vegas before it got to where it is now. He was married 4 times in his life. He married Dee Mathis in '66. They had a daughter. He was married to Sheila Ryan, who was one of Elvis's ex-girlfriends. You know, she was a hottie. In 1976, they divorced. They had a son. He was married to Ingrid Hajic from September of 1990 to March 1994. They had a son, and was in it. So, anyways, that was his whole deal right there. And then during his marriage to Hajic, do you remember who Heidi Fleiss was?
Heidi Fleiss.
She was the madam in Hollywood, the hooker lady. Charlie Sheen had her on speed dial.
Yes,
anyways,
I do remember her.
She said she had an affair with him during he was filming a show in Texas, and she would come visit him, and he said it was purely platonic. But anyways, during production of The Godfather in '71, Kahn was known to hang out with Carmine Persecco, also known as the Snake, a notorious mafioso and later head of the Colombo crime family. Government agents briefly mistake Kahn, who was relatively unknown at the time, as an aspiring mobster. Kahn was also a friend of Colombo family mobster Andrew Russo, who's the godfather of Kahn's son, Scott Kahn. In 1982, according to conversation intercepted by the FBI between Kahn and mobster Anthony Fiato, Kahn had Fiato beat up actor Joe Pesci over Pesci failing to pay an $8,000 bill at a hotel. Kahn was a big supporter of Donald Trump in 2016 and 2020. He's a good American, and I'm sad to see him leave. It's funny, Francis Ford Coppola and him went to college together.
Oh, really?
Yep, same school.
And then they went on to
become very famous at what they do.
Huh.
So anyways, that was my person there. Now, my person who died today is a man that you don't even know his name, I bet you.
Probably not.
$20 if you can tell me the bald-headed guy who was a point guard for the Harlem Globetrotters for all the years.
You're good.
Frederick Curly Neal was an American basketball player with the Harlem Globetrotters, instantly recognizable with his shaved bald head, and that's where he became Curly. He was born in Greensboro, North Carolina. Neal attended James Dudley High School and Johnson C. Smith University in Charlotte, North Carolina. From 59 to 63, at Smith, he averaged 23 points a game and was named the ACIAC guard. Neal played for 22 seasons with the Globetrotters from 63 to 85, appearing in more than 6,000 games in 97 countries. His shaved head earned him his nickname, a reference to the Three Stooges, Curly Howard, made him one of the most recognizable Globetrotters. In the 70s, an animated version of Neal starred with various other Globetrotters in the Hanna-Barbera animated cartoon Harlem Globetrotters, as well as its spin-off, the Super Globetrotters. They were in Scooby-Doo all the time. When I grew up as a kid, the Harlem Globetrotters were huge because we didn't have the things you have, YouTube and all this other stuff. So the Globetrotters would be on TV once or twice a year, and it was a big thing to watch them. And then every year we would get to go see them. They would come to Wichita Falls, and they did the same thing. What's amazing, and I went to school with a guy who was a Globetrotter, and what's really cool about that whole thing is that those guys are hellacious athletes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Even though
good.
It's kind of like, what's the baseball team, the Bananas?
Yeah.
Them guys the same way.
Oh yeah.
I mean, them guys are damn good athletes and stuff. They're just not good enough to make it professional. Like the Harlem Globetrotters, if they tried to play against the NBA team, would get beat by 100 points.
But they're good enough that they can dick around and not take it seriously.
Very, very, very good at that. So, anyways, when Curly died, they had a memorial commemorate. God, I cannot talk anymore. Commemorating, God Almighty, Neal's achievements, both as a Globetrotter and his time playing for the Dudley High School, is painted in the basketball gym of the Hayes Taylor Memorial YMCA in Greensboro, North Carolina. He had 2 daughters and 6 grandchildren. He lived in Houston, and he died on March 26, 2020, in his home outside Houston at the age of 77 because he'd had a stroke, and that was the deal of it. Now, my event that happened was accumulation of a week. There was an 18-day battle in World War II called the Battle of Remagen, however you want to pronounce it. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. Do you know anything about it?
I've never heard of this.
Okay. The Rhine River was the big river that runs through Germany. When the Germans were starting to retreat, they would blow up these bridges to keep the Allied forces from advancing on them.
Right.
Well, the Battle of Remagen was an 18-day battle during the Allied invasion of Germany in World War II. It lasted from March 7th and ended on the 26th is when it was completely ended, when American forces unexpectedly captured the Ludendorff Bridge over the Rhine intact. They were able to hold it against German opposition and build additional temporary crossings. The presence of this bridge had, them being able to save this bridge, saved 3 weeks on us advancing. We'd had to build bridges and everything else, so it saved thousands and thousands of lives. After capturing the Siegfried Line, the 9th Armored Division of the U.S. First Army had advanced unexpectedly quickly towards the Rhine. They were very surprised to see one of the last bridges across the Rhine still standing. The Germans had wired the bridge with about 6,200 pounds of demolition charges. Oof. When they tried to blow up, only a portion of the explosives detonated. U.S. forces captured the bridge and rapidly expanded their first bridgehead across the Rhine 2 weeks before Bernard Montgomery's meticulously planned Operation Plunder. The U.S. Army's actions prevented the Germans from regrouping east of the Rhine and consolidating their positions. This thing was so important that the greatest anti-aircraft artillery battle in American history, the Americans counted 367 different German bombers attacking the bridge over the next 10 days. The Americans claimed to have shot down nearly 30%. We shot 130 of their bombers down just in that one place. The Germans, on March 14th, German Reich Chancellor Adolf Hitler ordered Schutzstaffel General Hans Klammer to fire V-2 rockets to destroy the bridge. This marked the first time the missiles had been used against a tactical objective and the only time they were fired on a German target. The 11 missiles launched killed 6 Americans and a number of German citizens in nearby towns. The closest direct warhead impact of which landed 300 meters from the bridge. I have no idea how far 300 meters is. Is that a half mile? Is it 300 yards?
It's 100 yards past a half a mile. Or 100 meters past a half a mile.
I'm very impressed by that. Oh, 1,600 meters is a mile, right?
Yes.
So it'd be less than a quarter of a mile.
Yes, a quarter mile is 400 meters.
And it's 300 meters, so it's less than a quarter of a mile away.
Yep.
Okay.
I used to run those hurdles.
Yep. The 11 minutes. Okay. When the Germans sent a squad of 7 Navy demolition swimmers wearing Italian underwater breathing apparatuses, the Americans were ready. For the first time in combat, they destroyed the top secret canal defense lights, which successfully detected the frogmen in the dark who were killed or captured. The sudden capture of a bridge across the Rhine was front page news in American newspapers. The unexpected availability of bridgehead on the eastern side of the Rhine more than 2 weeks in advance of Operation Plunder allowed Allied High Commander Dwight Eisenhower to alter his plans to end the war. So this was a monumental change in World War II. We were going to win the war. It just saved a lot of lives. But anyways, that today was the day in history when it was completely open and we had it under control, which was a major thing for the Allies.
Yeah. Big victory.
Yep. So it was a really good time. The town was rebuilt each time. In March 1945, about 5,000 people lived in the small resort town. The Rhine near Remagen was about 270 meters wide. The Ludendorff Bridge has been built by Russian prisoners of war during World War I to help prevent transport supplies from Germany to France. It's crazy all the damn battles and wars they had over the lifetime of Germany and those places. Anyways, that's my today on March 26th. Thank y'all for listening to us. God bless you and have a great, wonderful week.
Love you. Bye.